Hey, what's up guys? It's ex-mormon with My Spiritual Life. If you're new to my channel, basically my videos are all about me leaving the religion I grew up in, which was Mormonism or Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and about how I left that religion and the emotional impact and family impact it had on me, my thoughts, my opinions, all of that. So today I'm going to be talking about self-worth and the impact that I felt like my parents and my church that I grew up in had on my self-worth and what it has done to me and what I've done to try to improve the situation. So a little bit of backstory. Growing up, I feel like the Mormon church had this way of kind of impressing upon you very external things that were supposed to make you feel good about yourself, like a way to measure your worth based on external things, which was, and people refer to it a lot of times as like a checklist. Like, are you reading your scriptures every day? Are you going to the temple every week? Are you praying every day? Are you going to all your church activities? Are you, having family home evening? Are you, just the checklist goes on and on, but those are kind of some of the main ones. And what I noticed in that growing up was that oftentimes I always felt really bad about myself because I felt like I couldn't really keep up with that checklist all the time. And what I noticed, it was that my self-worth was really wrapped up in these very external things. Because when I did have a day where I did read my scriptures, I felt better about myself. I felt better about me because I felt like, oh, I was like a good person today. And on the days I didn't do those things, I didn't feel like worthy of God's like love on those days. And I'm not saying everyone in Mormonism experienced it this way, but this was what I gleaned from what I was learning, and it was really hard. It was a pattern I didn't recognize until I actually started to leave the church. Because when I started to leave the church, that's when all of a sudden that checklist evaporated. I was like, I can't read the Book of Mormon anymore because it's not real. I'm sitting here like I can't do this thing that used to make me feel good about myself, that used to be proof that I was a good person. I was like, I can't go to church because I can't go to this place that I don't feel safe anymore because they're saying things I don't believe in anymore. Like, it's so painful to go to a church that you don't believe in, because when they say stuff like, oh, my son is gay and I'm so upset and blah, blah, it's so hard to sit through and listen to that because you're like, stop. So it was like all of these checklist things that used to make me feel so good about myself as a person, all of a sudden I couldn't do anymore. And I got really, really depressed. That depression was really hard to fight because it was like I had built my worthiness around the church. I had built my worthiness around being Mormon. I had built my worthiness around God and worshiping God. And when I didn't know how to do any of those things anymore, I didn't feel like I deserved to be happy anymore. I didn't know how to feel good about myself without this proof. You know what I'm saying? Like going to church. Proof I'm doing good. I'm at least trying. I'm going to church. And I know I had the opportunity, I could have gone to other churches, and I did visit other churches, but I was so incredibly hurt that I wasn't ready to jump into something else. So I was just kind of left homeless spiritually and feeling like my self-worth was just crashing. The truth was I didn't have good self-worth. I just thought that I did on the days that I would read my scriptures. And it was such an eye-opener for me because I realized that the importance of not putting your self-worth on things that are so external like that. Because when we view ourselves as having this worth based on this one aspect of our life or whatever, it's almost addicting. Like, then we have to keep doing that thing or we don't feel good about ourselves. And this is leading into a more recent problem that I had. And so many of you know that I'm pregnant right now, which we're super excited about. Can't wait. Baby's gonna be awesome. And but that first trimester, so I'm 19 weeks now at the time of recording this, which is, I think today's the 18th of October. And I'm 19 weeks now, but the first trimester just kicked my ass. The first trimester of this pregnancy was so much worse than my last pregnancy. And it was even so much more difficult because I had a 2-year-old I was supposed to be taking care of at the same time. So I couldn't sleep as much as I needed to or whatever. And it was so hard. And I found myself going into this like depression because I had so little energy. I was constantly sick and throwing up and just dealing with all of that. And it was like I was starting to feel like really depressed. And honestly, I'm surprised I was even able to keep this channel going because I had to back off of so many things. And it's thanks to our Patreon supporters that, I can pay an editor so that all I had to do was just record the video. I can do it. Just record the video. Everything's fine. But it was so hard. And I was so sick and so tired of being sick. And I was feeling so depressed, and I started thinking more about okay, why am I feeling so depressed? I know this is going to get better. I know it's going to be okay. And I was working with my doctors and stuff. A big part of the problem is that my iron is really low. And so we're working on that. It's getting better. But it was I couldn't feel optimistic about the future, even though I'm so excited about the baby and stuff. I was so, drawn into this depression and sickness and just wanting it to be over. And of course, who doesn't want sickness to be over? And you start to lose your mind. When you're sick for that long, you just start to go crazy. Because it was months. Pretty much around, I think 7 or 8 weeks was when I started feeling sick. And I really didn't start feeling better until 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I'm still not 100%. But anyway, I learned something really powerful during this time because I was trying to, dig into my own mind and figure out, why am I so depressed? What is really causing this? And I realized that this is something I've been aware of for a long time, but growing up, I didn't just learn to put my self-worth into the church. I also learned to put my self-worth in busyness, in accomplishments, in productivity. And when all of a sudden I was so sick that I couldn't even really take care of myself, I had neighbor girls coming over to help me take care of my son and myself. And it was there goes my self-worth again. I thought I had good self-worth. And then all of a sudden you realize what your self-worth is based on when you can't do that thing anymore. I couldn't clean. I couldn't cook. I couldn't work. And all of those productive things were things that made me feel like I had value as a human being, like I deserved to take up space. And so the interesting thing about this realization for me was okay, this needs to change. I can't put all of my self-worth into being productive because the truth is, as a human, there's times where we're productive and there's times where we're not. We can't always be productive, and especially when you're making a baby in your uterus, and it's very exhausting, which I guess is actually productive so I was being productive. So take that, brain. Anyway, the point is here, this was a powerful eye-opener for me, and it really forced me to be you know what? This is not where I want to put my intrinsic value. I like to believe that everyone has value. No matter what your political opinions are or whatever, I like to think everyone has value. Everyone can improve. That's just what I like to think. Not everyone doesn't improve, but that's okay. And I was this needs to change. So I was writing in my journal, And one thing I wrote down that really helped me, and it continues to help me because I'm still not at 100%. I said, I think some things in life we kick ass at, and some things we just live through. And I want to feel like I'm enough in both of these extremes and in the in-betweens. And this was a really powerful thing for me because it was me really saying, I can have compassion for myself in this moment. Like, I can see that I'm just living right now. Like, I'm just barely making it through. Like, I am not kicking ass or taking names or any of that. I am just living through this. Actually, probably getting my ass kicked is what was happening. But it was like me saying, you know what? That doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. That doesn't mean that I'm a failure. That doesn't mean that I don't deserve to take up space. Like, this just means this is life. And this is one of those things that's kicking my ass. Because the truth is, some things we're going to kick ass at, and some things are going to kick our ass. And if we can learn to be okay in all of these situations, then we can ride through these problems that we're facing much more like stable, instead of having this like mental breakdown of like, I don't have any purpose and like nothing matters and all of this, like I was feeling, you know, like I was just feeling so worthless. And the truth is, it's not helpful to me to feel worthless. It's not helpful to my son or cooking son for me to feel worthless. Like, that doesn't help anyone involved, and it also doesn't make me any more productive. So the powerful lesson I learned in all of this was that I needed to reevaluate what I was putting my self-worth, like what I was measuring my self-worth based off of. And so I've just been wanting to talk about this for a while because I think it's so important to sit down and really ask ourselves, like, what am I measuring my self-worth on? Because sometimes we're measuring it on things that are really stupid, and then we end up doing things that we don't actually want to do, but we feel like we have to, just to prove to people or to ourselves that we're a good person, that we deserve space. And the truth is, we do. We deserve space, always. And even when we're falling apart, that doesn't mean we don't deserve space. It just means that we are falling apart right now because we're human, because tragic things happen and life is hard, and that doesn't make us wrong or bad or anything like that. So, if you're getting your ass kicked right now, just remember that that's okay. It's okay to get your ass kicked sometimes, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to pick yourself back up and that things aren't going to get better. It's so easy to fall into that trap in the moment, because I know when I was in this first trimester, I was like, this is never going to end. I was like, I know this is going to end, but it's never going to end. But the truth is, life is a roller coaster, and most everything does end at some point. Not everything, but a lot of things that we feel like aren't going to end are going to end, or they are going to at least get better or change. They say the only consistent thing about life is change, and sometimes that's a good thing. It's a really good thing when you're getting your ass kicked, because no one likes doing that long term. Anyway, thanks so much for all of you listening to this rant of mine. I just think it's so valuable to look at yourself and see how your religion or how your parents affected the way that you view yourself and the world and what's really important. And the more we can dissect that and understand it, the more we can have compassion for ourselves, and the better we can feel, and the more effective, happy human beings we can be. So anyway, thanks again for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. It really helps our channel out so much when you do. And don't forget to thank our Patreons. And don't forget to sign up to be a Patreon. If it weren't for this Patreon thing launching when it did, this channel would have died. I'm so grateful for the Patreon support so that we could pay an editor so that I could keep this channel going, because this channel means so much to me, and it means so much to all of you. I know, because I get messages from all of you all the time. Thank you so much. Thank you to our Patreons. Thank you all for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.